So if there's anything you said at the very beginning of the presentation, I'd appreciate you repeating that. Just the very first minute.
Yeah, we were just hanging out, and I told you guys the colors. I'm using white, purple or violet.
So if there's anything you said at the very beginning,
and then the
presentation, I'd appreciate you repeating that.
Okay, my colors. Yeah, we were just hanging out, and I told you guys the colors. I'm using white, purple or violet, or the Venetian red. Anything else? It was just like everyone's painted with me before, and I was speaking to everybody in the beginning. That's about it. And then I see Mary.
I don't have Venetian red. What should I got a golden brown, and bright red.
You can use any of those colors. That's what I say, you guys. I always encourage you, grab the colors that work for you. So the red, what'd you say, that brown?
I've got brown, golden brown, and bright red.
Brown. What's the golden brown look like? That sounds interesting.
It's kind of beigey.
Beige.
Sort of skin tony.
Okay. What do you think that will look like in these colors in the areas where you see the...
Yeah, I might mix a little red in with it as I go.
Okay.
We'll try that. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Welcome, everyone. I'm Ronita. I'm a Purposeful Point, and I teach painting here in my basement. And welcome, everyone. Let's go ahead. I'm going to let you guys know I do normally paint on 11 by 14, and I'm using a canvas board. You guys can use a canvas or with whatever you guys decide to paint on. I do encourage my painters to, make your own choices, do what works best for you. This is my example. I'm going to paint it to the example, but you're welcome to go off and do what you like, what works best for you as well. And I've already mentioned my 3 colors. I'm using white, my violet or purple, and red. And this red, it kind of looks orangey. It's like it's called a Venetian red. Whatever color is close to this, or if you would rather choose something that works best for you, that is fine as well. I usually use on my brushes, I'm probably going to use, I'll probably use the 3 brushes. I use my flat brush. Is usually what you can find in the stores, a 1-inch or 3/4 inch brush. Sometimes a half as well, but the half is getting a little bit smaller. But I just like to grab my largest brush to cover the larger areas, which is my background. On this painting, we'll of course start on the background first. You can grab those brushes, a medium flat brush. I don't know what medium looks like to you, but this one just go a little bit smaller. I like my flat brushes. You can choose to paint, which if you painted before, use a brush that works best for you. And I do like a pointer brush to get a little more of the detail. But actually with my brushes, the lines that you see here, I did just take my flat brush, turn it vertical, and then make my swipes up to get those lines there. But you use what works best for you to make it flow your way. So when I get started, I do like to grab my brush and I do wet it. I wet my brush to start because it does help the paint move across the canvas a little bit better. So I like to wet my brush, and I use a paper towel to just touch the brush. I don't want to dry it off. I see a lot of people take and dry off their brush. They believe that it's supposed to be dried off. I still want it wet. I just don't want the paint to drip down my canvas. And I like to touch it on the paintbrush to get any of the excess paint. And you guys are painting flat probably, and I am not. But the way I did start my painting, I'm going to show you guys. Actually, again, I was painting flat as well when I painted my example. I started with the line of purple. I'm going to put it on here and then show you guys what I did. My paint is kind of globbing up on me. Grab the kind of blobbing. don't really use this color a lot. So I was like, well, let me try it. I'm getting a really large, it's really coagulated. It comes out in a long stream. So, but I do that. And this is what my canvas looks like. Can you guys see that I put all the colors? I put a purple on the top and the bottom. Next, I went with the red and then also white in the middle. So that's how I started mine. And then that's how I laid my paints down and painted from there. Trying to see if I, where's my video? It's on this phone.
Did you cook that broccoli?
Okay. And then when I put that on there, I started with my white and I just worked my way up. I'm going to spread my white first.
Is that broccoli's good?
Yes.
And not to put too much paint. I don't mind you guys being off of mute, but if you could, if you have a lot of background noise, I would appreciate if you mute it. Okay, so I'm going to start in the middle with my white. Don't put too much paint on like I did. I put too much paint on my paint canvas. So I have my white in the middle. And I'm going to come up. Can't figure out who's that noise is coming from. Okay. Okay, and then I'm coming, as I come up, I'm blending up. Then bring them on up with my, got too much paint on there. I'm taking it all the way across. No streaks. Just kind of blending it. Kind of going up and down because I'm going to bring some of that white up into the colors, and I'm going to bring that red down into the white. Just up and back. Okay, now I'm going to go down to the bottom and kind of do the same thing. White. Bring it into, I actually just flipped my canvas if you guys see. Looks like I just did that section. I actually flipped my canvas so I can get to it good. Because it's not, it's okay regardless. I want it to kind of mirror. If it doesn't, it's fine. If it's not identical to the top and the bottom. But you guys kind of get the gist of it. I did put too much paint on here, which always happens whenever I start like any painting that I do by putting the paint down on the canvas. I always inevitably put too much paint on there. So don't do what I did. For one, it takes longer for it to dry. Then you just have too much paint on your canvas. But anyway, this is an awesome way to teach you guys blending as well. So I have it on there and I come down into the red because I have purple and white, everything in my brush. And that's how you blend. I just kind of keep going up and down to try to blend in. Now I got a lot of purple in there. I don't want to bring the purple down too much. So I can either stop blending or go ahead and rinse out my brush and start with a fresh brush. And then I come here in the middle and then bring that white up. Okay, that makes sense, guys. It looks good. This is a time when painting is therapeutic and relaxing. This is a perfect time for that swiping across the canvas back and forth. It helps. It's very therapeutic. You can relax, kind of get lost in it. And I'll give you a few minutes. Got a little bit of coagulated paint in my painting. Cover that up. All right, you guys start wrapping up your swiping. It's just like, I don't know if you've ever done yoga. At the end, you sit and you kind of the form where you just kind of lay down on, and they'll say, you know, as you relax, then it's your shoulders, your elbows, your wrists, your hands, and the same thing going on down. And then near the end, they'll say, okay, so, you know, they said start slowly coming back and kind of push yourself up into a seated position. So I want you guys, when you're doing your therapy, to slowly start coming back, to stop swiping. Now, the things that we do next, it's okay if your paint is still wet, but you don't, you want it to kind of be starting to dry. So go ahead and put your brushes down.
I'm just swiping to try and get some of the excess paint off of it. It's like I put way too much paint too.
Yeah, I kind of ended up taking my brush and scooping some paint off of my the canvas because I put too much on there. I was a little bit worried, guys. I didn't get to send out my email. I normally send it out the night before my internet. We're having some problems with my internet. So this morning I did not have any internet. I tried to send it this morning. So then I took my tablet to work with me, and I text my husband, was like, hey, we didn't have internet when we come back, because I didn't want to, I was like, I'm going to send out this email to everybody and just say, well, just in case, you know, my internet was acting up. But he said it was back on before I sent the email. So I was assuming we'd be good to go. But yeah, I ended up scooping off, especially the purple. I wanted the purple to be on there, but I don't have a lot of purple on there. So I was like, oh, I have way too much. So I scooped some of that off. And this, like I said, it works in any color you choose. This is kind of like, I named it rustic. It's kind of like rustic, kind of purple, kind of fallish. But if you were doing it during maybe in the spring, you might go brighter with I'm not sure what colors you could go brighter with. So Diane, what colors did you end up choosing?
Red,
Red, okay.
red, white, and purple.
Okay. I mean, it looks kind of orangey, so orange would be cool as well. But and the purple might have looked okay with the yellow, but if you're gonna do it, I would suggest it being, because we're blending. I would suggest more so that one color would be, you can put the purple on yellow, but I would think to let one of those, let it dry first and then put the purple on top. But blending the two, I just think about kind of brown. So with red and purple, the colors that I have, of course, purple has red in it. So, you know, you're still kind of in the same family. So guys, now I'm gonna look at where I'm gonna, you can see I painted that line. I'm gonna use my, like I said, I just used the 3 colors, and the rest of the colors, for the most part, I'm gonna be using the Venetian red, the red color that I use. And you can still use your 1/2 inch brush, a 1/4, or really what works best for you, because we are going to go a little bit smaller with these sections here, but you can use whichever brush you like that works best for you. Because sometimes you just get a brush that you're more comfortable with. I switch up. I like this big, well, actually, I always use flat brushes, but some people are like, there's some that are like this, big, thick ones that they might like to paint, the pointer ones. I just like the flat ones. I guess that's the way I started, because I wasn't really, you know, I guess taught. I don't have any formal training in it, in painting. So I grabbed what worked for me, and that's what I stuck with. So now I'm going to pick a line that's going to be my, I forgot what it's called.
Horizon line.
Yes, that's
Horizon
the line. I'm going to pick that, and I'm going to go with that and draw that in there.
And what color are you using?
I'm using the Venetian
purple.
red,
Okay.
my middle color, whatever your middle color you chose. Because, and it's going to be darker because your background, you use the Venetian red, but it's blended with other colors, which makes it lightly as white. So light, still using the same color, stand out because it's you're using it pure instead of it being mixed. And to me, I'm just loving just the line that I put on there. It makes my horizon. It looks good just like that, right? But I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to put little bit, raise it up a little bit, and you can leave it flat, raise it up. You can put more than one elevated area. You can do one or a couple, however, whatever works for you. You think about what you want to do. And so I'm going to get a little bit heavy with the paint because I have too much paint on my background. And it's not dry yet. So I'm gonna probably dab some of the paint on there. I painted it. It is still kind of if I want it to be darker, and if it's not totally dark, it's still fine. It still works. But if I want it to be darker, a little bit heavier, I'll dab it on there. But again, I'm not doing anything differently. You know, this is the end of it as far as that horizon. It's not like I need to dry it and then add to it or anything. So you're fine with however it comes out. I'm making my horizon, make sure it's, I don't want a straight, even line for my horizon. So I'm dabbing my paint on there. When I say dab, just touching, basically just touching the canvas with my brush, like literally. Now you can paint it on there as well, but again, because my white is still wet, if I paint it, I'm just blending it again. So it's like some areas are dry and some are not. So, but again, I'm making my horizon. I don't want it to be a straight across horizon. I want it to be different elevations. You guys see that? That looks pretty neat back there. Okay. Just dabbed in my horizon. I did make it dip kind of in the middle. I want to take and I'm going to mirror that underneath, but my paint is going to be thinner. I don't want to be thick. I just kind of want to mirror it. It's kind of like it's a reflection. So keep that in mind. I just want a reflection of it. I don't have a lot of paint on my brush because I kind of wanted to be a reflection of what I just did on the top. I want a reflection on the bottom. So it's not a lot. My paint is not heavy. Okay, you guys see that? Just a little bit. And it helps like that it's still a little bit wet there. So it's kind of blending, but I just want it to be a little more pale, lighter than what my top is. Yeah, some of my making sure there's a dark line between the two because my paint was still wet. It was kind of light. So now I'm just going back in, going across to touch and just to make sure there's a line between the lighter area, the top and the bottom. That's all I'm doing. So this is a fun, simple painting that will be a great gift for somebody who's like, oh, I see you with your artwork, and you're like, okay, here you go. Or if you know, especially if you know what their colors are in their living room or whatever room that they have, and to paint it in that color so they can hang it there. I think I messed up and took away. Put that back. And I'm sticking with my same color. Yeah. So I'm ready to start putting on what kind of the silhouette of the grass is what I'm going to start with. And then, of course, the fun thing about it is if it's okay if your paint is still wet. So I'm
But
still
now-
using, what's that?
The grasses, I would think, would be more your raw siennas or your umbers than any of the other colors
Mhm,
that you've already done.
mhm.
But maybe I'm not getting a good perception of that over the television or the
Mhm.
computer monitor. You're doing those in colors that would not at all be in nature.
Right, it's abstract. I'm
Uh-huh.
using just those three colors that we talked
Okay.
about. The reddish middle color,
Uh-huh.
the purple, and the white. Those are only colors that I used in this painting.
And
So
so
it-
when you're doing the outlines, what color are you making them in? Are you making them in the reddish color, or are you making them in the purplish color? Which color?
Yeah, everything else is just in the Venetian red, in my red
Yeah.
color. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So again, well, it is a little bit darker here, but because all of our colors are kind of, the Venetian red is mixed with all the different colors, it makes it a little bit lighter. So when I go to add the blades of grass, hopefully they're gonna look darker, they're gonna stand out. Okay. So this is where you can choose to do your pointer brush. Like I said, I use my flat brush. I like using my flat brush to make the paint, make the grass, because it holds more paint. I don't have to keep dipping it. And I dip it in there, guys. And like I said, I just turn it. Instead of painting with my brush flat, I turn it vertical. And I'll bring those blades of grass up. So like that. Okay, see that? See it, even though we use that Venetian red all over, you can see that it still stands out. It looks different from the red that I used in the background. So I'm just bringing it up. You decide how far you want to bring it up. In my example, you can see how far I brought some of them up. Most of them are below, but I did bring some of them up. So this is where you're really freestyling it, okay? And you can see that I put a little bit of curve into it. I did curve it a little bit, okay? So it's more of a swipe. It's not like how people paint and you just little sections like inch paint. I am taking my brush and it's a swipe. I turn it sideways and I'm swiping. I'm going to do some short ones and some longer ones. Some of them going to go a little bit different. direction. I don't want any uniformity, guys. No uniform stripes or swipes, okay? I don't want all your swipes to look the same. I don't want them to be the same height. I want you to vary them and make some of them, I don't want them to go straight up and down. I want some of them to be curved because the grass does curve sometimes. Maybe it's a light breeze and making it curve or go a different way or something. So keep that in mind. All right, so I have some short ones because this is abstract, but you know, we're thinking about the view in which we're looking at this with this horizon, you know. So you do have some that are larger than that. I guess you would say they're a little bit closer to you than the other ones. Okay. And then don't get too carried away that you put so many on there that you can't tell what's going on. But I want you to look and make sure you find balance in what you're adding. That makes sense, to find balance. You want to have a lot on one side and not a lot on the other side, but sometimes that's balance as well, depending on, you know, what you're going for. So keep that in mind. Wow, I reached my step goal by painting all of these swipes. It's loving it. So you can see how I just used the same colors, but it does stand out as being a little bit different. So I have to, sometimes you have to stop. I'm going to step back and look at my painting to see if I have enough blades of grass or not. So I'm good. It's a little bit more than what my original was. And I think my original, my blades of grass were a little bit thinner. And it's probably because I didn't use the size brush I used. I used a thicker brush, a bigger brush with you guys, as opposed to my example, I was using a smaller brush. Yeah. Still a flat brush, but just smaller. Right, I'm watching my guide and she looks like she's done with her blades of grass. So that's my indication to move to the next step. And so I've been eyeing a picture that had these, I guess they call them cattails in them. And so I really wanted to do a painting with the cattails, and that's what this is. And again, I'm still using my my middle color, my Venetian red color, and I'm going to add a couple of them on the blades of grass that I have. And all I'm going to do is just add a hot dog. You guys paint a hot dog? And I am using my pointer brush to add my hot dog. Not sure another way to this. I try to think of a shape that works to give you an idea of what that looks like or what we're painting. And you can just choose which blade you're going to put that on. I do recommend that if you put them on there, don't paint them like on top of your landscape, the horizon, because it may blend in too much. So keep that in mind. And let me see. And you choose how many, you decide how many. It looks like my example, I just have about 5 of them. So like this one, I don't think I made it long enough. If I'm gonna, these ones that are up higher, the bigger ones. So we're gonna look at those if we're up closer to them. So they might be a little bit longer. So. And again, I'm still using my Venetian red, my red color.
Finally, peace and quiet.
What's that? You like the peace and quiet?
Well, my husband decided that he was going to eat supper late. So he's
Oh.
sitting on the couch and I'm trying to like paint on half the size space I usually paint. And he finally went out with the dog because, of course, she's sitting right there looking for scraps. So it's like, this, I have like 2 days where I have blocks of time, like the Thursdays when you do painting and Wednesdays between 1:30 and 4 o'clock. Yesterday, he calls me at like 1:45, says, come on up here, I need your help. So I go up there. He wanted me to shave his head.
Doing your time.
Huh. And of course, one razor didn't cut at all. The other one, half the teeth for some reason are chipped. So I only had basically half of a regular thing to cut it with. It's like, really? It's like, I just asked for like 2 spaces where you just leave me alone. But he'll go down and he'll be downstairs all night long playing his video games. He's been down there since about 1 o'clock playing video games.
Mm-hmm. And then they understand, why are you so mad?
It's like, oh wait, so I can chit chat. That's half the fun, right?
Right.
I just put the earbuds in because he was watching something on TV too. So I had to put the earbuds in so I could hear you. I don't like my grass. Came out too thick.
Yeah, mine's is kind of
Sky.
thick as well.
Yeah.
I just have one more step before we can say that we're done, and that's I'm going to use white.
Highlight.
Yes, I'm going to put the highlights on the cattails. You guys can see up close. I put it, and I'm going to put it on the side, depending on the angle that kind of going. Like, so I'm like, the light is basically like coming down. So this one is kind of angled this way. So I'm going to put and your cattails might still be a little bit wet too, but
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to put a little bit, I'm going to just put it on this side for this one because of the way it's angled. And then on the other one, because it's kind of angled the other way, you know, the sun light might come down on it that way. I'm going to put it on the outside of that one. So I guess I can kind of say I just put it on the outside. And I just need to make sure it's heavy enough where you can kind of, it kind of gives the cattails a little bit of dimension. It makes them kind of round and it kind of lets them stand out a little bit. Okay.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
Those are my finishing touches. Also, if you wanted to highlight and then maybe Eva said that she thinks her blades of grass are too thick. You could also kind of put a highlight on some of those grass to kind of round them out, thin them out a little bit. Let me see what it looks like before I tell you to do that. So that'll kind of thin them out a little bit as well. And I mean, it's not like a heavy line of paint. It's a little bit. And it'll kind of thin them out a little bit as well. So they're not as thick. So guys, this second, with me putting these layers, the paint on the blade grass, you don't have to do this. This is, like I said, it's just in response to Eva saying that her blades of grass are kind of thick.
Yeah, I see what you've done. Yeah, that does look better. I'll do it on a couple of my thicker ones. I think you're right.
Yeah. I don't think you should do them on all of them,
No.
but like some of the thicker ones, it'll thin them out a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, ladies, as you finish up, I'm going to go ahead and end it for the folks that are on YouTube. I always have at least, they don't say much, but they're watching. All right, guys, on YouTube, thank you. I would appreciate it if you grab that email. You can send me a picture of your finished painting, because that's what we're going to do when we get off. We're going to take a group photo. So that's for the YouTube folks. Thank you for painting, and I'll see you next.